Two Joes and a Pro. You have your hosts here, Kenny, Ryan, and Brian. We're glad to have you guys back for another episode. We have a lot in store for you guys today. Ryan, Brian, what's going on, my guys?
What's going on?
Feeling
No
good,
energy
man.
today? Can I get some energy?
Yeah. Get hype. Get hype.
Hey. That's my energy call.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys. Yeah. So anyway, guys, we're gonna get straight into breaking news, right? Touching on NBA a little bit. I know we got 6 games left before we get into the playing games and then the NBA playoffs, which I'm excited for. I just heard that Zion Williams fractured his finger, so the Pelican fans, or the Pelican organization is not happy about that because they said it was the referee's fault pretty much because it was like aggressive fouls. And we have a little bit, to talk about Zion Williams later on in our, our great debate. But then getting into, the West Coast Conference, my Lakers are looking ugly right now. They're battling the Mavericks in Portland for the 5th and 6th seed. And hopefully we don't get into the playing game, but it's looking like we might be in the playing game. We have a big game tonight versus Portland, and I know Dame Lillard is trying to get into that 6th seed. And then for MVP, MVP rates or votings, how it's going right now. It looks like Nikola Jokic is a shoe in for the MVP for this year. He is balling, right? He's not athletic, but that boy is skilled. So, they're trying to take it from him as much as they can, just adding all these different guys, Chris Paul or, Steph Curry or whoever they want to put in, but he finds a way to keep balling. So yeah, how's looking in right now for as far as playing games is looking pretty good. As far as matchups for those one games, you got the Heat versus Wizards, which Russell Westbrook has been killing. I think they said in the last since the All-Star break, I think he has 400 plus assists and 400 plus rebounds, which is crazy. He's just like the triple-double king. I think he was one triple-double away from passing Oscar Robertson for the most of all time. So he's really balling out. And then, you got the Hornets versus Pacers, which, LaMelo Ball's back. Everybody's, he's entertainment, his big show. So that'll be good to see him get in the playoff. And then, the West Coast is kind of up in the air for, that 7th seed with the Trailblazers, Lakers, or the Mavericks. Most likely it's going to be the Lakers. And then versus the Spurs. And then you'll have the Warriors going against the Grizzlies with Ja Morant versus Steph Curry. It'll be a pretty good show. So that's what we got for NBA. So on to you, Brian.
All right, MLB. Basically, all I want to touch on is the umpires, man. The replays. They consistently get the replays wrong. When we at home can watch these replays and blatantly see that the call that they make is incorrect, and they stick with their calls. So I don't understand why they even have a replay if they can't even get the call right. I know it's a complaint in probably all sports, but it seems like there's something going on with MLB that's like different than like the NFL or NHL, like all those other sports.
Well, they don't want to slow the game down any more than it's already
But they
right?
do slow down the game, and then they still get it wrong.
It's already 8 hours to watch.
So, trust me, pace of play is a big problem too. But
So when you say that they're getting the calls wrong, right? This is kind of like, oh, he's out, but they're saying he's safe still, or what is it like? I don't understand what you mean by
yeah. So like there was one replay, a dude slid into home, and he clearly was touched by the catcher before he tagged the plate, but they called him safe, and on replay you could clearly see he was out, and they just stuck with their call. So it wasn't even close. So there was no reason for it to be safe.
Do you think it's one of those things, like you said, like with NFL, like if you go against what the umpire is doing, then it's kind of like it's making it seem like the umpire is wrong for majority of the time. Does that make sense? Did I explain that correctly? I don't know.
It does, but I think that the MLB has
like the pass interference.
I think the MLB has an umpire problem in general. You have some umpires who get their panties in a bunch with managers sometimes, and they'll just toss them. The manager will just walk out on the field, and they'll just get tossed right away. They won't even have to say anything. One umpire in particular is Angel Hernandez, notorious notorious for being just an asshole, and he's wrong a lot. Like, he's just awful. I don't know why he's still an umpire in the MLB.
So they have too much power, essentially.
Yeah. I don't think that the MLB corrects their umpires enough, or like fines them, or whatever you have to do to get them in line. Because they're just making blatantly wrong decisions on the field, and it's impacting the games.
Yeah. I'm surprised the MLBPA is not like said something about it, like, hey, listen, this is impacting our players at a different level. Like when they talk about negotiations or different things like that, they're like the end of the year little conferences. Like why that hasn't came up? Like, hey, listen, we gotta do better with the umpires.
Well, I think the MLBPA doesn't have a lot of power in the grand scheme of things. It's not like the NBA where players have the power.
Oh, okay.
You know. So, but anyways,
is it because there's too many players?
No, it's just like I was explaining that a couple episodes ago, that the MLB has team control over players for far too long. So these guys aren't even getting like good contracts until they're, hitting their prime, like 26, 27 years old. Whereas other sports, they're getting contracts when they're like 23,
Yeah, based off a projection type of thing, rather than like, listen, if your numbers are good, then we'll pay you now, type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But
so you're not making people want to watch baseball. So
hey, man,
appreciate that.
Baseball has a lot to work on for people to want to get on board with baseball. I'm sorry, it's a boring sport, and they play too long of games now. So most people our age and younger, they don't want to sit still for that long. They just want to see highlights. Right. They don't appreciate the intricacies of baseball, like, when a pitcher has a lot of movement on his pitch, like a guy like Ryan, he don't care about that. He just wants to see a home run. He wants to see some runs.
Screw you. Hell yeah.
I mean, but that's the reality that we're living in, and but social media will help. Like guys like Jared Carabas, they promote the game and they show like highlights of baseball, and I think that might get people to watch more of it. But I don't think people are actually going to watch full games. I think they're just going to be there for the highlights.
Just put
I say baseball's fun to go to.
Well, yeah.
Hell of a time to go to a game.
Yeah, but we can't go now. I mean, well, we can, but we have to wear a mask and all that stuff. That's just uncomfortable, I want to go there, drink beer, and shout at the umpires.
Just drink the whole time. You don't have to wear a mask if you're drinking the entire time.
Just the whole time.
Then you can't. Then you can't walk out. So whatever.
Just wear one of those helmets over your head.
It looks like you'll wear a helmet, right? Put that little joint like off the water boy.
For sure, I would. It'd be vodka or some tequila. No.
So what we got for football, Ryan?
All right, I'm only gonna cover one thing, and then we'll talk about the Aaron Rodgers stuff. But the big thing that I saw going on in the NFL this week, and I want to get Kenny's take on this: the Jawan James right tackle for the Denver Broncos tore his Achilles in a non-football related injury, working out on his own, and so much so that the NFL league offices put out a memo to all the teams, letting them know, like, you teams are not contractually obligated to pay players' salaries where they get injured doing their own personal workouts on the off season, which I think, if you want my personal opinion, I think it's insane that, like, if a player is trying to work out in the off season to make themselves better for the team, they get injured that way, the league can basically be like, oh no, or the team can basically be like, no, we're not paying your contract because, or we won't pay you this year because it's a non-football related injury.
Yeah. So like, I read something about that, right? And I saw Patrick Mahomes put out a tweet saying something like, so you got, I guess they owed him $10 million or $12 million this year. So they say, so you're not gonna give him his money. And it's upsetting just on the fact that it wasn't like he was skydiving or like on a motorcycle doing something like that, right? He's doing he's training for the season and he tears his Achilles, right? So if that's the case, then I feel like you should still honor his contract. I understand it's money, but at the end of the day, when he played, you were going to get the dollar's worth anyway. So if you really trusted in him as a player, then why wouldn't you just give him his money and then let him rehab and come back? What would be to me? It's like, what is the difference if a guy's training at your facility, right, or just training like with a personal trainer? He's still training. He's still trying to make your team better. It's not like he's not doing anything. Because if he shows up out of shape, then what are they gonna do? They're gonna cut him. So it's like, if I train and get hurt, you're not gonna pay me my money. But then if I don't train and I show up out of shape, then you're gonna still cut me. So it's kind of like,
I mean, I'm not going to jump to conclusions on this situation because, like, number one, he also opted out all of last year. So maybe he showed up a little out of shape and was trying to push too hard in his workouts and tore his Achilles. I'm not sure. And also, we can't jump to conclusions because I'm pretty sure the Broncos haven't made a decision on whether or not they're going to honor it.
Oh, okay.
But they're just the league office did put out a memo saying they don't have to. So, like, the Broncos are kind of weighing their options, and I think at this point, to save face, they're gonna pay the $10 million.
Yeah, I don't think
I were them.
Yeah, I don't think Elway's that type of guy. I thought it was already setting firm. Like, I don't think Elway's that type of guy where he's not going to give him the money. I think Elway will give him the money, and you know, just because, like you said, to save face, and to make it and to look at it as an organization that cares about its players. Right, you don't want to turn into like an organization like the Texans look in the public eye, where people think like, hey, they care nothing about their players. They're just a bad organization across the board. Nobody wants to play for them, especially with the Denver Broncos, who are looking for additional players in free agency or whatever the case may be to make their team better. You kind of got to save face in that. So I hope they give him his money, just off the fact that was trying to be better. He's trying to be a better player. He's trying to train, and that's across the board for any player that gets hurt. Just because it's like, listen, that window is so small. And if we don't maximize as much money as we can, and you know, by playing and putting our bodies on the line, then you know, what's the point?
Oh yes.
So just to play a little contrarian here, as usual.
Piece of shit.
Listen, so I think the right thing is that the Broncos should pay him. Yes, because I believe that he did get injured working out, trying to get better for the season. But if you open that door, who's to say that later on down the road, some player gets hurt and they just say, I was training. There's no proof whether they were training or not. If they're at the team facility, there's cameras and there's proof that they were there and they were working out. So that is why I think legally and contractually they have it written that way. It's because you could potentially open up Pandora's box and have a problem.
Yeah, but think about this, right? The NFL has enough investigators and all these guys, like like a big enough legal team that if you lie, like, they're going to get to the bottom of it. There's not one. I've known players that's gotten DUIs and try to be under the table. It doesn't happen. Like, so if you do something like get in an accident or hurt yourself a different way, they're going to go and do their research. They're not just going to be like, oh, it's a football-related injury? Oh, too easy. They're going to be like, okay, football-related injury, where were you at? What were you doing? What time were you there? They're going to fact-check everything. And then they're going to send their team out there to do their research and make sure your story matches up with what they found. So I definitely understand what you said, like that open up Pandora's box, because that could happen. But just in the case with the NFL, they got an army. They're packing.
Yeah.
Like, so
I know, and I do.
And I'll ask one. Go ahead.
I do think most players are going to be honest, anyways. And,
yeah,
you know, but you never can trust everybody in this world. So sorry.
Yeah.
That's why I think the teams protect themselves in this manner. But if I'm the Broncos, I still pay him, or I at least, you know, negotiate with them. Be like, hey, be like, hey, we know you were actually doing the right thing. We're going to give you half or whatever, you know, just because we don't have to, but we will. You know, something's better than nothing. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I think that I forgot how the IR works, because I don't know if his contract's guaranteed or not. So if his contract's guaranteed, of course he gets all the money. But if it's like, depending on how much is guaranteed, something in IR, they'll be like, listen, we owe you this much money no matter what, kind of thing, if you get hurt. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would wonder if, like, do those players have to, for example, if, like, say I was a player, you know, I will one day, so I'll experience this. But
cut it out.
If I got my workout on the side, And does the team, because the team has their own workout training staff and they have their own workout plans, they have their own things that they like their players doing whenever they're in the facilities like working out. But like, do they get like approval to be like, hey, I want to do this training regimen, this type of stuff? Because like, what if the team doesn't like that particular type of training regimen for like their players, like, or for like whatever position group? Like, do they get that approved ahead of time with the team, or do they just be like, no, whatever you do when you're not here, we don't care, as long as you show up in shape?
Are you speaking for off season, right?
Yeah, for off season mostly.
Yeah. So like for off season, you kind of got free reign. You can go work out in the facility if you want to, but most guys they hire a personal trainer or whatever the case would be. Go to a different facility that a guy specializes in their position, and then they work out there. Now when it gets to like OTAs and like voluntary workouts, stuff like that, like you don't have to show up to voluntary workouts. You don't have to. So some guys don't show up even though you get paid. Some guys like, no, I don't even need the money. I want to stay where I'm at. If they have a house in different places, stay with their family, and they still train there. And there's nothing to get you on that. Now, like when it gets to mandatory stuff, there's no ifs, ands, or buts unless you're going to cut into your money. So guys show up and they do their thing there. But even at like voluntary workouts, stuff like that, it's not like guys are going hard, to be honest with you. It's it's very light stuff because they don't want the guys to get injured. So you're not doing anything strenuous on your body. It's kind of light. They want you to just make sure, you're getting a little, not even breaking a sweat, but your body is being comfortable with being on the field, if that makes sense, right? You're jogging. You're not sprinting anything. You're not striding out anything. You're jogging. You're not cutting, stuff like that. So that's in that regards. But I know that a lot of guys just do what they want in the offseason. It's not really I haven't seen at least that it's like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. I know it's clauses like certain positions you can't play basketball, you can't be doing certain things depending on like how much money they owe you, and if you're a franchise player, there's certain clauses they say, hey, listen, we don't want you guys doing this, but just as far as regular working out, it's kind of free reign. So, and
then besides that, the only other big, actual, huge news item is the drama that is going on in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. My wife's a Packers fan, and we have like friends that are like a huge group of friends that are just all Packers fans, and it was one of the greatest things to see during the draft. All these Packers fans losing their minds, and Twitter Nation like going nuts for the Packers. And I mean, some of them are taking it as a like, oh, we're not trusting this until it's like a valid source. But then Adam Schefter drops all the news about like during the draft, right before, Adam Schefter drops like this news that Aaron Rodgers is disgruntled and he doesn't want to return back to the Packers this season. And then that spirals into this like insane, like every time I look at my phone, I got like another tweet, like AJ Hawk says that Aaron Rodgers is upset. This guy says this guy, like it may not be Aaron Rodgers actually personally coming out and saying any of this, but I mean, it's pretty damn close. It's his close associates. What do you make of it?
I'm surprised we waited this long to talk about it, because it's been like every week it's like something new. And I'm gonna say that I don't think Aaron Rodgers plays for the Green Bay Packers, because I think that he wants a new contract. He just won MVP. It's going to cost a lot of money to keep him. He's not going to take a pay cut for the Packers, especially when they haven't gotten any additional receivers, anything to help him out. So I think the GM and LaFleur, they're going to have to make a hard decision and just let him go. Try to get the best you can for him and call it a day. And just, you already drafted Jordan Love. You thought Jordan Love was going to be the guy to replace him. He's been behind him for 2 years now, or a year now. He should be ready to go, because you're preparing. I feel like they were preparing for this in a way. Not that Aaron Rodgers was going to say, I don't want to play for you guys, but that Aaron Rodgers was getting eventually, he's going to have to leave. Because, like, you think how much money you think they're going to have to pay him to keep him for 4 years? He still has 2 years on his contract, and he has no
over
guarantee
40
left.
mil.
Yeah, it's like over 40 mil
a year.
and it's going to hurt the team. So at the end of the day, it's going to hurt the team, and it's going to be like, Aaron,
I don't know.
Can't do it.
I don't know if because they did say that he did turn down an offer. They offered him to be the highest paid quarterback, and he turned it down. But I think what they were trying to offer was something that was like a 2-year contract that would make him the highest paid quarterback over those 2 years. But like, or it was something short term where Rodgers wants like that security long term, because basically,
Yes.
think about his shoes. He's sitting there. He's like, all right, last year I had a slum year for my standards. Not last year, but the year before. Obviously, not the year he won MVP.
Yeah.
He had a slum year for his standards, and then they were like, "All right, well, we're gonna draft Jordan Love because maybe we see Aaron Rodgers is gonna look like he's headed
Falling
down, like
off. Yeah.
Father Time's coming after him." And then boom, he has an MVP year, and he's like, "This is his like I told you guys." So like I want my contract to outlive Jordan Love, so that that's just a mistake for you guys.
Yeah. And I think that's what it is. It's like a GM versus Aaron Rodgers. It's like, dang, we drafted Jordan Love because we want him to play, but if we extend him 4 years, then it's going to be like Jordan Love's contract is done. So you just paid a guy $20-something million, and he's not even playing.
Yep.
So I know Brian has some tea over there. I can see it. It's oozing out his ears.
I just think they need to trade him. That's the best thing for the team to do. However, I think that Aaron Rodgers he has a fair argument here. The team hasn't really helped him a lot. Yes, I know he's been in the NFC Championship game 2 years running, but he's done it without, really a lot of offensive weapons. So, and they haven't really protected him the best. I mean, the guy is always scrambling around. Granted, some of that's his own fault, because he does hold on to the ball, I think, too long, trying to get a bigger play. But I think that they need to help him more, and they haven't, and so he has every right to be upset. And
I think.
Go ahead.
No, I just think his big gripe is like, it's weird because all the other teams that have like star quarterbacks they're taken into account whenever they're making team decisions. Like he's not looked at. He's just looked at as another asset for the team. Whereas like, and he's getting upset because they're getting rid of like free agents or players into free agency and even though these guys are like locker room guys and they're actually good for the team. They're probably buddies with him. I mean, I know they made like a joke about like that undrafted Jake Kumaro guy that he liked, that wide receiver Rodgers. Like he had like a good game, and then like 2 days later he was like cut from the team, and Rodgers was like, "WTF, man!" Like a guy actually like throwing to.
That's my boy.
Yeah. yeah. I mean, yeah. I've lost my train of thought now.
Sorry, that's my bad. Shouldn't have told me to go. Look, at the end of the day, I agree. I don't think he plays for the Packers this year, but I find it hard to think that the Packers are going to let him go. They're not going to cut him because there's this whole like, if they cut him or trade him before June 1st or before the new year starts, before the league new year starts, they would have to take like a 38 mil cap hit this year. And if they cut him after June or the league new year starts, it would be split up between this year and next year. It'd be like 21 mil this year and 17 mil next year. Now, I was having a discussion with someone the other day, and if I'm a Packers GM, I'm cutting him before June because I'm just hitting it. Because his regular salary cap hit this year is like 30. It's like 38 mil or it's like 37, 36 mil. So like for an extra 2 mil, you could just be done with him this year and not have to worry about it next year. And because you already were going into the year thinking you were going to have Rodgers this year. So like you have enough, you've already got the salary cap figured out for your draft class, the players you picked up in free agency is already calculated and all that. The only thing you're worried about is getting QB arms into training camp to like throw behind Jordan Love.
So 2 questions, right? First question is, do you guys think that Jordan Love is ready? And then my second question is, if they do trade him, where do you guys think he lands?
I don't know why they ever drafted Jordan Love. I don't know why. I don't think he's going to be that good, to be honest. But then again,
you can't really say
I know
that. You don't know.
they've picked quarterbacks pretty well, so maybe they know something. But I don't know. I don't like them.
Yeah, Ryan, what you think?
The only thing is that I'll say is we have no way to know whether he's going to be good or not because we were robbed of preseason last year, which is where we would have seen Jordan Love in the offense. I mean, who knows? I don't know. Hopefully they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And then the second question being, where does Aaron Rodgers land in?
Oof.
His wish list might be different than where he actually goes. But I think he's not going to go to the NFC. They're not going to, if they trade him, they're not trading him to an NFC team, unless like they get blown away by like an offer from a team that, because you got to think wherever they trade him, say they give him a first, you would assess that if Rodgers goes to a team, that team's going to win like 10 to 13 games. So it's going to be a late first regardless. So you're going to want to, I don't know. I'm thinking Oakland is probably
Vegas.
a really good place for him. Oh, sorry, Vegas. My bad.
I've done too.
Vegas and Denver are the two big ones.
So I'm thinking Washington. Y'all think Washington is not a choice just because of them being in the NFC?
Yeah, I don't think that.
And I really hope that doesn't happen. So
Well,
Yeah, I saw a crazy trade like them doing a first, a third this year, and then a first next year. Or not first and third next year, and then in 2023 another first and a fifth or something like that.
I don't think it's enough.
yeah, but if you're a team out there and you think Rodgers is available, I mean, why are you going to give up that much for him? Because unless you're in a bidding war, I mean, the team's just trying to offload him anyways. I would.
Yeah,
I
but
would
they're not
go
going to
low.
offload him with. They're not going to offload him with not getting anything in return. Because if like Ryan said, to Ryan's point, if you have $38 million on your cap hit, if you cut him, you already thought in your head that you're going to pay him 36, 37 million. If he doesn't play, then he just doesn't play, right? But at the end of the day, he just doesn't play. But you're not just going to offload him for nothing and get nothing in return because that's a bonehead. That's kind of like what doggone Texans did with D-Hop. Like, just give him any. Oh yeah, we'll take a third for him or fourth. Like what? So it's like
That was a little different because D-Hop had some leverage because he could have sit out. Here's the issue: the Packers. If I'm the Packers, and if I don't get a good enough trade offer, I just keep him on the roster, and he can forfeit that money and just not play or retire. And then when he wants to unretire, guess who still has his rights? The Packers.
Yeah.
So like, it's a tough spot for both. That's why like I don't know if Aaron Rodgers plays this year at all. I don't know if I'm the Packers if I trade him, or if he comes back to the Packers. So I think he's either not playing or he's playing for the Packers again this year. That'd be my guess.
Yeah. I'll take that. Well, getting into something that normally we talk about football for our great debate, but for our great debate today, we're going to dabble a little bit into basketball. So our topic for this great debate is the top 5 players, 25 and under. So I know Brian and Ryan, this is not their forte, so this is more so my forte. But I know they got some good picks, so we'll let you guys get to it. I'll finish last.
Sure as hell hope so. Hey, let me go first. Listen, I'm not going to give stats. Like everyone knows, anyone that has watched this for like 10 minutes knows that like I'm not a basketball guy, but I'm learning. I'm going to get there. Don't worry. All right, I'm just going to go with what stuff I looked up. And then you guys could tell me whether or not like why I shouldn't put that person there.
Bully you in the comments.
Yeah. Bully me. Yeah. Shade me. I don't care. I got some thick skin. All right. And then you'll have to help me with pronouncing some of the names. Actually, just the first name. The Luka
Doncic.
Yeah.
Doncic,
That's who I had at number 1.
Okay.
Jason Tatum. And then I like that Zion Williamson, if he could stay healthy. Is he always hurt?
No, he was hurt a little bit last year and whatever the case may be. Okay.
And then now
that's number
he's
3.
out
Is Zion?
indefinitely right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if this order is I just start listing people.
Okay, cool.
Devin Booker, and then Ben Simmons. That's who I put.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh.
Listen, I will actually let me go behind Ryan in that aspect because me and Ryan are very similar. That was actually pretty decent for somebody that's not that's not their forte. That was actually pretty decent. So like, of course, I got number 1 Luka, right?
Okay.
Baller without question. Over this year, he's MVP caliber, right? 28.5 points, 8.1 rebounds, 8.9 assists. He's just different. I put Devin Booker as number 2 just because he's a pure bucket getter. He's a bucket getter. Like, it doesn't matter.
I thought the same thing.
It doesn't matter who's guarding him. Like, this man shoot a 3-point. He can shoot the mid range. He can go to the cup. You just can't deal with him. I feel like ever since Chris Paul came on board and told him, like, listen, I'll run the PG. You just go out and get bucket. It kind of just like cleared his mind. Like this year, if you see his numbers, of course, of his career, he hasn't been bad, but his numbers this year is really good. 25.7 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 4.4 assists. Like, it's just freelance just to go score. So then number 3, I had Ben Simmons. So I'm not a Ben Simmons fan, and I try my hardest to keep him off the list. But his numbers, I know you're shaking your head, Brian, but his numbers are just they're undeniable. And like Greg Pop said, like, he can't shoot a 3, but who cares when he's doing everything else? He's 6'11", 240. He can guard 1 through 5, right? He's giving you 14.4 points per game, right? 7.3 rebounds, 6.8 assists, right? And 1.7 steals. Whoever you want him to go, he's locking up, right? And he's still shooting 56% from the field. Like as much as I don't like his game because he can't shoot a 3 and he's supposed to be a point guard or a point forward or whatever the case may be, you just can't. There's nothing you can say about him, or you can say something, Brian. But in my opinion, it's just like you got to put him on the list, right? Number 4 is Jason Tatum. The reason why I put Jason Tatum behind Ben Simmons is because Jason Tatum is inconsistent, right? He's inconsistent. Like he some games, like he had 60 points and then he just dropped off the next game, right, with 18 points. It's just he has too much fluctuation in his game. I think once he gets consistent with going to his go-to move and seeing like where his spot is on the court, right? Whether that's in the low post and he has a back down game, wherever he has an ISO game on the wing or whatever the case may be. I think once he figures where he's supposed to be to get his bucket, get his shot, then he'll be fine. But right now, I feel like he's kind of like a freelancer in a sense. But his numbers is quality as well. 26.5 points, right? This year, 7.4 rebounds, 4.4 assists. He's still good on defense. He has 1.2 steals. He's not really bad on turnovers, and then 45% from the field. And then Zion Williamson, I put him at number 5. I know a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? He's so great, blah, blah, blah. Listen, he reminds me of a Ruth Chris Sean Kemp. Like, that's what he is to me, right? Big body, right? Granted, Sean Kemp was taller, right? I think Sean Kemp was 6'10" or 6'11". But, like, in the post, I'm slam dunking. I'm dunking. Like, he's 6'7", 284. That's big body. Like, it's and like he's still young, but when he gets older, that way he's going to take a wear and tear on his body. And it's not like he's going to the cup and he's like floating the ball. He's trying to jam it. Yeah. Slamma jamma. That's what he's trying to do every single time, right? He leads the league in 2-point field goals, like made and taken. 624 field goals made, 1,000 field goals attempts taken. Like, granted, his numbers this year: 27 points, 7.25 rebounds, 3.7 assists. Right, he's still balling. Like, he gets what he wants. But I think that's because who's standing in front of his way? He's a D lineman coming to the cup. Like, let me do your thing, bro. Like, but it's only a matter of time before all that jumping goes out the window and he has to shoot. And I would put him higher on my list if he had a back down game, which is like a turnaround jumper like LaMarcus Aldridge or something like that. But he doesn't even have that. His back down game is one dribble, power, spin to the inside and jump up and then try to finish at the hoop like that. And that's, for my opinion, why I put him at 5. I really didn't even want to put him on the list, but I thought that'd be asinine and people would be like, you're tripping. Because we talked about earlier, Bam Adebayo and Domantas Sabonis, like, their numbers was not bad.
Yep.
And those guys can shoot the mid-range. They can just shoot a little three-pointer, take you off the dribble at the big man. Like, they're a hard matchup at the 5, and I feel like Zion being undersized, even though he's playing bully ball, I don't know how long that could last. So I appreciate you, Ryan, going ahead and throwing the alley-oop for me to dunk.
Hey,
so, yeah.
I got you.
Oh, man. So,
Brian, it's your turn.
All right. So, number 1, I have Luka Doncic. I think we all agree there.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'd say about his game is he needs to sharpen up his defensive game. He's mostly an offensive threat, but if he can become a better defender, he doesn't have to be great, but just a better defender.
Just decent, yeah.
I think he could be actually one of the best players in the league. Which, I mean, he already almost is,
Yeah.
But number 2, I had Devin Booker. Much like you said, Kenny, he's a bucket waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Number 3, I had Tatum. Okay. Probably my favorite player, just because I'm a Celtics fan. But I also agree with you. He is a little inconsistent, and that's part of the reason why the Celtics keep going up and down all year. Is
Yeah.
they're gonna go as far as their best player. So, number 4, I don't know why you guys left him off, but I got the Spider. Man, Donovan Mitchell. I don't know why you guys are hating on Donovan Mitchell. Is it because he's been, you haven't seen him play? Like, right? Isn't he hurt?
Yeah, he's hurt right now. Yeah. But, like, my issue with Donovan Mitchell is not that, because I looked at him, right? I looked at Donovan Mitchell. You look at Ja Morant. You look at, like, people want to put LaMelo Ball already, but even though it's 1 year. But Donovan Mitchell is inconsistent as well. Like, he's inconsistent as well. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he has spurts in times that he goes off, and it's just like, hey, man, this guy is really good. But I never hear people say Donovan Mitchell, MVP type player. Like, everybody else on our list is an MVP type player, right? Oof. But I don't hear Donovan Mitchell as an MVP type player. What do you look at?
I mean, you had Ben Simmons on your list, so what are you talking about MVP? Well, I mean, get that out of your mouth right now. Ben Simmons is never going to be an MVP in this league. Never. Okay?
He has a better chance of being an MVP before Donovan Mitchell. Because the thing is the fact that his numbers are so high across the board. He's like almost averaging a triple-double for his career. You want a guy like that can average those type of numbers and play defense before you have a guy like Donovan Mitchell that's going to give you 45. He'll give you 45 points with 4 assists and 3 rebounds, but how is that better than a guy that's giving you 18 and 19, 8 assists, 8 rebounds consistently every night? How's that better?
Man.
And locking up on defense, because Donovan Mitchell can play a little defense, but he ain't playing Ben Simmons defense.
I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't think that highly of Ben Simmons.
I know.
Just my opinion of him. I just don't think he's that good.
But so Donovan Mitchell is number 4.
Yeah. And then number 5, I have who was it? Sorry, I forgot his name. Yeah.
Same.
No, it was Zion. Sorry, I did have Zion next. I think I was because I was thinking of Bam Adebayo, but he's just outside my top 5. But Zion, to me, Zion is a shorter, less dominant Shaquille O'Neal. Okay, so he's undersized, but he's gonna be have a similar career trajectory as Shaq, but not as dominant, if that makes sense. So he's not going to be like a superstar, but he will be a very good player. I think.
But people will say he's a superstar already.
I don't think.
Or you think that's this hype train?
Yeah, I think that's hype. I don't see him getting a whole lot better. And like you said, as he gets older, his agility is going to go, and that big body it's not going to be good. I mean, even looking at Shaq, I mean, if he wasn't so good, And when he got older, when his body got older, he wouldn't have been that good. But because he was so dominant, he still, even as his body got, heavier and, he got less quick, he still had the moves and he still had the IQ that he could still ball out. But I don't see that for Zion.
Yeah, I just wish Zion made a bigger. I guess he says a lot of time. This is only his second year, but I feel like he has to make a bigger progression jump next year. Like at Duke, I feel like we fell in love with him because, of course, he was explosive, right? He shot the three a little bit. He was going to the cup. You see him shoot a mid-range. He was passing the ball. He's playing defense. He was like getting all the rebounds, getting endless blocks. But like, I don't see that, right? Like I see the dunks.
Yeah.
But I don't see the defensive stopper that we all saw at Duke. I don't see the dog mentality, like this aggressiveness that we saw at Duke that we see now. Like you see it on offense, but I don't see it as defense, and I don't see it good as. I feel like he's digressed as a passer in like other different areas. So that's the only thing that disappointed me about him. And so,
I think he just plays a little lazy sometimes.
Shoot, I would be lazy too at 6'7", 284. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a little dude either, right? I'm a big dude either. I know, I know that his knees hurt.
Yeah.
I know his knees be hurting. All the eyes. I know he huff and puff, cause he could say like he went with his dad or his stepfather, and they said he came in. I think he was at 284 or 290 or something like that. When he came in, they said, "Hey, you gotta drop weight." He dropped weight to 260 or something like that. But then he's back high again. So it's like, I'm not trying to get on the man's case about his weight or anything like that. But it's like, some people just big bones. Yep. You know what I mean? And
I feel you.
You know what I mean? Some people can eat all they want, and the weight doesn't kick in. But other people, you eat a slice of bread, and it's like 4 pounds. Yep. I have that problem too. You know what I mean? So like I understand. I just know he has to change his body composition, like kind of how LeBron had to do when LeBron was 6'9", 290, and then he changed his whole body composition to be skinnier, right? Like when he was down in Miami, people were like, LeBron is just, he looks like a machine. Like how long can his body last being that heavy? And then he went through all that and then cut down because he knew the longevity wasn't going to be the same being that heavy. So yeah, but I'm going to get off of Zion's case, If you're watching Zion, you're probably not. But if you're watching, it's not. I'm not bagging against you, bro. I'm just,
We're interviewing him next week, so
yeah. We're bringing him on next week and say, hey, listen, we got some questions for him.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, Kenny said you eat too much. It's going straight to the hips.
I mean, I don't blame him. He's down there in New Orleans.
No, just
that's some good ass food.
No, I would tell him that. I would tell him that. I would say, bro, you eat too much.
Like, let me tell him. It better come from me.
Like, honestly, at him being how young he is, right, he still has time that he can change his body composition, right? You can change your eating habits. You can hire a chef. You can do, and if he is hiring a chef, then they need to do better with what he's eating, right? And maybe he's just, I don't know, like what his body fat is or whatever the case may be. But when I look at him, he doesn't look like he's cut up like a bag of dope. He don't look like that. You know what I mean? He looked like he got some ripness, but he got a little flab on top of the body still. So I feel like there's a lot more room to work.
I think
but I'm done.
If he gets back down to 260, like you said he was, like,
yeah,
I think that'd be a good weight for him. Like, I do believe he is just a big dude, but
yeah,
losing that 20 to 30 pounds, that will be, that'll save 4 or 5 years on his career.
Easily. The wear and tear it cuts down the explosiveness. Like, he's still explosive, but like I remember when he was coming out of high school, he was 260, and people were like, "Oh my god!"
Right?
Like this dude. It wasn't even a man amongst boys. It was Thor versus boys. Like, it was crazy the things that you're seeing, and you saw it a little bit like at Duke. It was crazy that he got to Duke and he blew up like that at Duke. But of course, he was doing a weight program and training and stuff like that. But it's just like he looks better like less weight, like at that 260 range. So
He's one of those guys that needs to stop lifting, and he needs to do like CrossFit or something like high impact shit.
he probably just need to do all calisthenics. That's
Yeah,
it.
he needs to just be running and just jumping, and that's it. Like don't lift weights. You're strong enough.
Yeah. Leave all the eating to us, bro. We got you.
Oh yeah.
You know, pass your plate to us. We got you.
I just love that we spent like the last 10 minutes talking
about
about
his
like
weight.
physical exercise, and like look at me and Brian like.
Hey, listen, just because you're not there now doesn't mean you were there before.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Come on, man. You see these traps is just for show,
Just
bro.
for the audience.
Like I said, I'm gonna play in the NFL.
Just for the audience, just so they know, I am 5'6" on a good day, and I weigh about 265.
You 265?
Yeah.
Hey man, we gotta talk about that offline.
Why?
You know, I mean, we over here bagging on Zion. We gotta get the diet plan right.
I know.
You know?
I carry it well. Like I don't look 265, but
No, I didn't. I wouldn't think that at all.
I'm just playing.
I'm like,
I'm not
man.
playing.
Well, I'm glad that we saw. I thought it was going to be different for some reason. Besides the spider thing, I thought we were going to be a little bit different, but I guess we're seeing eye to eye. Ryan, I guess you know more than you really think you do.
Hey, you know, well, here's the thing. Kenny, you spit out a lot of statistics, and that's literally all I went off of was just looking at statistics. I wasn't out there like looking up film, like being like, oh, I don't like this man's game. I'm just like
Look at his inside out crossover. It's not tight enough. I don't like it. I don't like it. Yeah.
I was literally looking at percentages, like how many games, and I was just like ranking them.
Ooh.
I was like, this guy.
Speaking of percentages, if this guy could shoot at a higher percentage, I would have had Trae Young on my list.
Listen, I wanted Trae Young. Only reason why I didn't want to put Trae Young, because to me he's like a little baby Curry, was because he just gets injured.
Yeah, but have you looked at his shooting percentage? He's only shot 36% from three.
Oh yeah, but a lot of the young guys are low like that though.
Wow.
Shoot, like Jason Tatum's only 40%.
That's
Devin Booker is 35.2%. Luka Doncic is 33.3%. You know what I mean? Because they're not just shooting like 4 or 5 threes. They're shooting like 8, 9 threes a game.
I know, but like you said, when you said Trae Young, you were like, oh, he's like a baby Curry. But the difference is Curry is efficient. So that's all.
But I don't. But we can't compare him to the greatest shooter all the time. Right?
I mean,
like it's a far reach. You know what I mean? When I say baby Curry, that was giving him credit, right? That was like he's not even baby Curry. He like midget Curry or miniature Curry. Sorry, you say that he's like miniature Curry. So
little person Curry,
little person Curry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah, I don't want to offend Brian.
Hey, I'm a whole person. Thank you.
Hey, but man, I appreciate you guys. We're gonna wrap, the great debate up. We appreciate you guys joining us again. I don't even know if we have anything for BK Bez. Nah. I don't think we have anything going on this week. Right?
Oh, who's the?
Nah,
didn't some guy just drop off the UFC card? When that coming up? Was that Benoit? I don't know.
No, but we don't have UFC is not coming up for a little weeks. So anyway, Don't worry about it.
What about the exhibition fight? I want to watch that. The Mayweather.
Man,
it's boxing. It's not UFC, but
that's not until June though.
It's June.
It's not until June. Yeah, I think it's June 6th.
Hey, it's getting heated. I saw on Twitter.
We're not getting into that either because that was. Before I let you guys go, I have to say one thing. Kids of this generation, you can't be disrespectful to people who have paved the way, right? Like Mayweather, it doesn't matter what. It does matter, right, if what somebody does in their past, but we're not the person to judge that. So for Mayweather to do what he has done in the boxing ring, and for like Jake Paul and Logan Paul to be disrespectful in that case, like it doesn't help them, right? Like of course some kids might be thinking like, oh, that's funny, but it doesn't help you as far as if that's the career you want to take. So like, think about that when you guys are like trying to troll and do different things. Like think about like, listen, if I'm serious about this craft and this is what I want to do, I gotta pay respect to the legends. Right, and that's all I have to say on that regards. But anyway,
well said, beautiful.
I appreciate it. Anyway, guys, man, we appreciate you guys joining us again for episode of 2 Joes and Pro. Like we say, always follow us on YouTube, 2 Joes 1 Pro. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We love you guys, and we'll see you back next week. Thank you.
Later.